Going live now. Hello, good evening and welcome to the Now Debate. My name is Jared Walters, once again joined by my savagely beautiful friend Richard Oliver. And tonight we have Sam Spirit Reader with us. Sam, how are you doing?
I'm okay, thank you.
Sorry, we missed her. How are you doing, Sam?
I'm good, thanks.
And Richard, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm good, yes. Trying not to wash away in the good old Welsh weather, which just hasn't, I don't think it's stopped raining now for about, I don't know, maybe 6 months, I'm not sure.
It's certainly been a while. Well, Sam, you are the medium that for those of us who watched our interview with Ben and Lainey a few months ago,
Yeah.
you are the medium that's featured on their channel that helped them out with, or helped Lainey out with a reading. But you're entirely self-taught.
Sorry?
You're entirely self-taught. I
Yeah, I mean, yeah, a long time ago, there was like before Facebook and stuff, there was like a internet place called Inspired a Spirit or something, where I used to go in, see if I could speak to a medium and stuff like that, and they used to do psychic circles and things, and I'd go and watch and stuff, but this was like about 16 years ago. I've never had someone sit there and say, here, I've never been able to sit with anybody with a book and everything and be like, right, okay, this means that. It purely has to come from spirit. So I'm learning as I go. Every reading I'm learning.
And so, give us a little bit about like your background and sort of your journey. Give us a little bit about your story, your journey. What's got you to where you are now?
I did sense things before. Things did happen before. My mum was my biggest supporter. My mum was the one that was like, you're psychic, you're a medium, you're this. She would tell me little things when I was a kid. And I had certain things started to happen. And then it was her close friend, her best friend, where I saw her husband. And just long story short, he came to me to try and save her life because she wanted to join him. And I had about 4 different times that he came to me until I said to my mum, I started crying, and I was in the bath and I phoned my mum and I was like, Mum, she sat in a chair, there's bookcases that I explained everything where she was. I said, she's playing with her hands, she's imagining his hand in her hand, and she's contemplated joining him. So Mum was like, I'm going to bring her. She rang her and she was doing exactly that. And my mum said the reason she knew straight away is because I described the sitting room exactly, and I've never been there. This made Maureen not do it and start to realise that, so I was able to start giving her information. And then we kind of did the board a lot between me and my mum and my brothers and stuff. We were spiritual anyway. And then when my mum passed on her deathbed, she was like, she's coming back and she's going to be my spirit guide. So when she passed, I contacted her on the board, but I was too messed up. Like, that was my mum. I was too messed up, and because I was really spiritual and I really didn't, like when she had cancer, I was like, please don't let her die. I did everything I was supposed to do that I thought, and she died. I switched everything off. I just didn't believe anymore. Couldn't deal with it. And then I started to feel better. And I started to open up again years later, because I went to see a pastor and he kind of explained to me how God works and he can't do everything. Like, he's not responsible for everything. It's just such a long story. But anyway, so I then I started doing it again. My sister was like getting friends saying, "Oh, my friend wants a reading and this," and I had angel cards, and I did it like that, just to friends of friends and stuff like that. And that's what I started, and that's how it started to happen. I dreamt of my mum. I feel my mum. She plays with my hair all the time when she's near. But the other thing is, when I was doing the board back in the time my mum and my brother was alive, I found 2 spirit guides. And one was Rochelle, and I always feel her on my knee, like she sat on my knee. And she was Rochelle. And she's responsible for the mediumship. She's responsible for giving me all the messages and stuff. And the other spirit guide was Stephen, who I was married to in a previous life, who's followed me through lives. So yeah, I found out about myself and about some of my guides and stuff through the board, but it was still spirit. The rest was in my head that I had to trust as I went along, dreams and each reading.
So you found that as you were giving other people readings, like we've talked extensively on this channel, I know I have spoke about it, I know you have as well, Rich, about dreams and how dreams are a fantastic tool that spirit use to give us messages. I actually had one from my dog who passed away last year, a couple of days ago. You know, when you have these types of dreams, what sort of experiences have you had that you could talk about? Obviously, I know you can't talk about personal ones, but like, is there any that you can kind of share?
Yeah, this is it is personal, but it's actually the best. And so when my mum was in hospital, I wasn't coping at all, and she was kind of in a hospital, and people were like dropping like flies around her, and I could pick up that energy as well. So after 4 days, I'm like, she doesn't want me to be here to watch that end bit. I knew that I was her baby. She wanted me to go. She had 5 kids. So I left, and then Mum passed. And what happened, it was the night before the cremation, and my sister's like, "I've been to see Mum, you need to come to the chapel arrest," you know, and I was like, I cannot see her that way. I don't know if I'll be able to leave. The last time I was with my mum, she was warm, I touched her. I can't do that. But the other side of me wanted to feel my mum again and see her again, because like you want that, don't you? Like, I missed her, I want to see her. So I said to my sister, "Let me sleep on it. Tomorrow I'll decide," because it was the last time. I'll decide. So I come home and I was just thinking, I don't know what to do. I want to be able to see and feel my mum again. But the last memory I got, she was warm, she was alive. So that night, my mum came to me in my dream, but it was real. And she walked over to me and she put her arms around me so tight. And I felt her. I'm getting goose pimples just talking about it. I felt her. I smelt her. I heard her heartbeat, like everything that was like when she hugs me. And she can't sing oh my gosh, she's got a terrible voice, and she was like really badly singing in my ear. And I remember waking up. No, and she said, "You don't need to see me. If you want me, I'll always come." And when I woke up, I rang my sister and I said, "I'm not going. I don't need to go to the chapel arrest. I'm not going." And it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because I think it would have destroyed me if I'd gone to that chapel arrest. Now I know I don't need her body to feel her and smell her and see her, and since then she's done it quite a lot.
Is there other ways in which your mum makes contact with you?
Sorry?
Is there other ways that she makes contact with you?
She plays with my hair.
Yeah.
I'll be in mid-sentence and I'll go, "My mum's here." She plays with my hair, and sometimes I'll say to someone, "Feel my hair, can you feel it static? Because if you touch it, it kind of gives you an electric shock."
Yeah.
This also is a pendulum, and I kind of like hold it because that's my mum, so it's like I hold it for that. And if I ever want to speak to her, the pendulum, all the time, silly little things. Advice.
Well, that's kind of a unique position, to be honest with you, Sam, to have direct teaching from spirit. And because I've been to the church and I've done the circle, and I got to be honest, there's quite an influence on like belief systems, and it can be quite something to have, you know, because there were certain things that happened to me in the church I couldn't talk about, I couldn't discuss, and I had to keep them to myself, on my journey. And I think that's quite something that you've had that closeness and that direct sort of understanding. But have you ever been in positions where you're thinking, I don't know if this is right, or am I doing this right, even though Spirit's telling you?
I've never questioned it, because I have watched some of your videos and stuff, and you, Richard, the way you describe spirit, the way you describe the feeling, the love, that's what I get. And how can that be wrong? So I've never questioned it because it just feels so right. I've not had a bad experience, and so for now, I'm not gonna, until that happens, I'll question it. But so far, but I do, the way this is picked up for me is purely Ben and Lainey. What happened with Ben and Lainey was I wasn't really doing much, and then I was watching them on their channel, and it was really intriguing. I really liked it, but Lainey's eyes just kept spiking. And the next thing, I met Lainey's mum. Like, it's almost like my mum brought Lainey's mum along, and I was like, oh. So every time they was doing a video and stuff, or live chat, I was looking, thinking, I really want to tell Lainey that I need to read her. Her mum wants to speak to her, but I don't push myself on people. So in the end, they messaged me and said, oh, would you mind giving me a reading? And I was like, yes, I'll do it. So that's how it really kicked off. But I'd asked my mum, it was coming up to Christmas. I'm a single parent. I was having a really hard time. My son was going to be 21 in November. My daughter was going to be 18 in December. There's no one there but me. And I make crystal healing bracelets and sell them on eBay. And I said to my mum, I'd sat with my mum, and I was like, Mum, help me. Any way you can, help me. Just get through Christmas. Just get through this, and I thought she was going to help me with bracelets and stuff. So then what happened is, that's what I thought. And then when I met Laney and Ben, and then they kind of like put up my meeting with them and everything on their channel, I started getting some messages from people wanting a reading. And I thought, oh no, I'm quite private. So in the end, I opened another Instagram for readings and thought that way I can talk to people, because I like talking to people anyway about spirit stuff. And that's how it picked off. Like, everybody started messaging me and asking for a reading, and I started to give readings. And going back to your question, like for the first couple of weeks or even a month of a reading, I'd be so nervous, because what if I couldn't give them what they wanted and I've just let someone down? Like, how am I supposed to trust this? I'm not painting someone's nails, this is something I've got to trust.
Yeah.
And I was so nervous, and because I've been to a medium when my mum passed, and she was awful, and it broke my heart because you really put everything into it. So before every reading, I'm like, oh, please let this happen. But it just kept happening, and I kept knowing new things. Like, I'd say something to someone and they'd be like, yeah, how did you know that? And I'm like, spirit. And I would just, you start to trust what's coming through your head, your thought process kind of thing. Like, you have to really trust that. And then when it started to get stronger and more readings happened, so I was doing a reading every day, I started to I'd feel someone's lungs. I'd be with the reading and I'd be like, oh gosh, is there something wrong with his lungs? Yeah, he died of lung cancer. Or, this one guy, I was like, oh, my thigh, why is my thigh hurting? That's so strange. And then he was like, oh, I just had thigh surgery. And I'm thinking, how do I know this? Because there was no book in front of me. No one sat and told me about this. Like, I'm just coming out with it. So I always say, I'm winging it. I don't know how it's happening, but it is.
Yeah.
But I just want to say, sorry, Reg, I just want to quickly cut in and say that I can see that Ben and Lainey are actually watching on the chat, along with quite a few other people. You have amassed quite an audience here tonight, so I'd like to thank everyone who has. I want to quickly say, actually, before we continue this conversation, I want to say hello and thank you to everyone who has joined the channel, because over the last couple of weeks we have had a surge of people joining the channel, and I just want to say thank you, and I hope you enjoy the content that we are putting out. And I just want to say to you guys in the chat, if you do have any questions that you want to contribute to tonight's show, please do ask, and we'll be more than happy to read some out and see if we can answer some of them between the three of us. If that's okay with you, Sam, and you're okay with you.
Absolutely, yeah.
Rich, please continue. I'm sorry, I just wanted to highlight that fact.
Yeah, no worries. Well, it's kind of... I'm trying to think of the question now I had. But one of the reasons we asked you on the show, Sam, was because we saw your interaction with Lainey and Ben.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just wonderful how you didn't do what some mediums will do, and you give them the tools to help themselves.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm a firm believer, the spirit, and I've said this, and Jazz have said this on many occasions, the spirit know the right people to connect with.
I knew when I saw her eyes.
They really do. They know what's inside us, and they know how we work and how we tick. And I just thought it was brilliant, and that's why. And it was one of the reasons that I asked Lainey and Ben on the show was because they are a lovely, and I mean they're a gorgeous couple, right?
Aren't they?
They're just so cute. And I thought to myself, they're in a funny position. And one of the things, and me and Jazz talked about this, they're in a funny position where people are going to come out the woodwork.
Yeah.
And they're going to be, there's going to be all sorts of things going on. And I thought, they're probably going to be in a position where they're going to need someone. And when I saw you were helping them, I thought, oh, that's fine. They've got that covered.
Oh, thank you.
And I did. And I thought, well, we'll just give them, we are there. If ever we are needed, we're there. If there ever something goes wrong or something happens, we're there. The guidance you give them has been, I got to be honest, has been brilliant. And
thank you.
It's a funny game mediumship, right? You get really good mediums and you get really bad mediums.
I've met the bad ones, yeah.
Yeah.
And they break your heart.
Oh my God. Do you know what? We got horror stories. Me and Jazz have got horror stories.
Mm-hmm.
And they make things so much worse, right? Because of their mindset. And some of these people get communication. And I'm not joking, they do. The closest people to me have had readings of some of the most ropey mediums, and they've had brilliant reading. And it's a lot to it, as you know, Sam. There's a lot to it. There's a lot we have to give up, and we have to, think about, like you said, give readings, feeling that emotion where you don't want to let someone down. That's a big deal.
Yeah. When I give out my when someone's booked a reading with me, I send out this thing that I've already written, and it always says, first of all, this is about you. So half an hour before your reading, take some time to yourself and ask out loud what it is you want from this, because this isn't about me, this is about you and your spirits, because I believe in their loved ones, I believe in their spirits, I believe in all that. So I say, ask out what you want, and then what I do is at the end of my reading, I'll say to them, did you get what you asked out for? And they've always, so far, I've always had a yes. When I get a no, I'll be like, oh, we need to start again. But the other thing at the bottom of it, I say that if for some reason I have not made connection, you have that £25 back. I don't want it.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I used to always do the same thing myself. To be
not
honest.
Happening. And I will try and do it for. I won't like that because I've been hurt so badly by someone that said they connect me with my mum, and I know how soul destroying it is.
Yeah.
That this is why I do it. I am shy, I am private, I am kind of all these things, but the feeling that I get when somebody in front of me, and this sounds bad, when they cry, you've hit the nail.
Yeah.
You know you've got it. You know that you've made the connection. You've made that, and I've never had someone. I've always said, catch you on Instagram if you want to speak after your reading. Any questions? And I've always had them say, yes, there's that. I know that you did. Yes, they did this. Yes, they did that. And that to me, they leave knowing that this person isn't dead.
Yeah.
This person is watching it, because they say, I don't see them anymore, but they're looking at you. They've watched you grow up. Oh, they didn't see my kids. Every day they see your children. They're there at the birth. They're there. You can't see them, but they see you and hear you, and they're around you every single day and whenever you want them. And that's what's important.
Sam,
and the other thing, can I just say, that really breaks my heart is suicide. Because the stigma that is attached to suicide is so... I've had people message me telling me that they want to read him, but their father's not going to be able to come through because he's in hell.
Oh, Jesus.
And I'm like, what? And it's those ones where I'm like, no, he's not. No, he's not. And then the other thing is, it's really strange how to describe this. When you've probably done this as well. When I have read a suicide victim, the family is so broken by the lead up to the suicide, because their depression, because their alcohol, drug abuse, whatever it is, it's so messy. And then they've gone and taken their own life. And then their family's left with that mess as well, and how they must be feeling. And the one thing I get from them is to tell their family they're happier there than they were on the earth, and that the family can now find peace that they've gone, because they were just not, there was constant pain and trauma to be around, and they're where they belong. And it's a strange feeling. And I think, I don't know if you feel it, but when I feel a suicide and I talk to them, the peace, the thank God I'm home, I couldn't live the life, the feeling that you get, it gives you a different understanding.
Yeah.
And I want to give that family the understanding. Yeah.
That's the difficult thing is, you can't sort of do a one size fits all. We are here to experience everything. Light, dark, everything you can think of. That's why the world we live in is so diverse. And as horrible as that sounds to people, it's like a game. I always say to people, it's like a game. You've got your controllers, you've got your, you've got your screen, you've got your surround sound, your hands, your eyes, and your ears. We're points of attention, having an experience here. Sam, if you could speak, your game's coming up. Sorry, love.
My game? I have a game?
Yeah, on your volume, on your iPad. Sorry, it was getting a bit too loud. So you're absolutely right there. What you were saying it's a hard one. It's a hard, like, I've always struggled with that when I've been reading people who've gone through that sort of thing. It's hard because there's so much. The tragedy I find in it is there's things that could have been said before that happened, which had to be said afterwards, and like that I struggle with personally. I've always found that one to be a tough one.
Yeah, I've had tough ones, but with losing my own mum, I don't think it could ever get tougher than that. I mean, I'm sure it will, but so I feel like I'm kind of empathic to how they're feeling. If I'm sat with someone that's lost, their mum and stuff like that, I'm just so, and I'd probably talk a lot, because I would do everything I can to have them understand the way I understand my mum. The way I need them to understand that they're not gone. And what really annoys me about people, that I find some people are just so ignorant. And as soon as you die, you become a ghoul. Oh, ghosts, they're ghouls and stuff like that. No, you're not.
Or you become all-knowing.
You're the same person you was.
Yeah, exactly.
You're no different. Be nice to them. When your people talk to spirits and everything like that, and they talk to them like crap and everything, it's like, why are you talking to a ghost like crap? Because what have they done to you? Like, you go into a haunted place, and that's where they live. So why are you speaking to them like they've just invaded your space and done? Like, that's all they know. They're in spirit, because they don't suddenly turn nasty when you die. You're still, your soul is your feeling. Everything is still there. So be nice.
Exactly.
No, you're not going to get a nice reaction from talking to anyone in that way, are you? You're not going to get a positive reaction.
This is what I mean. Talk to them the same as you would in the street.
Yeah. You're not. It's like that saying, like you just said about suicide. Why would somebody go to hell when they're trying to escape it?
Exactly.
And I've had people. We had an investigator, and he lost someone close to him, and the boy came through, and the conversation I have with someone in spirit like that is, well, it's the alternative is always better. You know, that escape leaves everyone here in a loss, right? And I do pick up regret because, you know, but like you said, it's that relief, it's that closure. They you know, they're
Yeah.
not going to suffer anymore, and they do feel it. They do feel that sense of relief. They feel the sense of
Yeah.
sadness.
And they know what they've put on the family as well.
Yeah.
Looking for them. Because I know that when I spoke to one, he was constantly going missing. And they'd go and look for him and stuff. Like, this family were constantly at tenterhooks waiting for this, you know, like they knew he was going to do it at one point.
Yeah.
And then he did it. And it's like, to do that, like you feel like he's like, to do that to my family, I didn't want to put them through it. And they said, but, you know, why? If, you know, and I'm like, because depression makes you selfish. When you have so much pain, it's a drug, isn't it? When you have so much pain and you take a drug and it stops, well, sometimes you want that pain to go so bad that people do, unfortunately, can't see past it, and you don't think about the people you're leaving behind. You're just too shattered, too broken to think about what they're thinking about. You know, it's just too. And I get that, and it, you know, like, and this is all through the readings that I've been doing, that I keep learning and meeting new people. I've met a couple of people that didn't really like me and did not believe. And I'm like talking to my reader and I'm saying they're not believing me. And I'm like looking at them saying, you do know you're dead, and you do know I'm alive, and you do know we're corresponding, and here's your daughter. Like, you have to believe. How can you not believe it? It's happening. But stubborn as anything. Stubborn as anything.
I will tell you one thing. I will say one thing. That when you mentioned about the connection you have with your mum, and I want to ask you about that because I am picking up on something. So I was wondering if you'd mind if I'd ask you about what I'm picking up.
Anything.
But I just want to say, you've said, Richard will know that I've had trouble because I've mostly learnt on my own. I haven't learned through circles and that sort of thing, or I have like been involved in circles maybe for like a 2 or 3 week period. I think the longest circle I sat in was about 5 to 6 weeks. When I physically went. So most of my development has been like yourself. But I've noticed that there's a few things you've said, and I can take something just from that, what you've said, and to have that, for me, it's my brother. If I can, there we go. For me, it's my brother, so I can understand how much of a mind screw up it can be at times. Like you said, but getting to that place, the journey of getting to that place. And when I'm looking at what people are saying about you and out in the chat, about how they've had such a good reading with you, about how they couldn't stop talking, you know, you have done this the right way, and I think you've been an example
thank you.
of how to do this the right way. So I'd like to ask, before I bring through what I'm picking up, I'd like to ask, for people who are having these types of experiences, whether it's dealing with a bereavement, whether it's having the experiences of seeing and feeling a loved one after having a bereavement, or developing a spiritual gift, what would be your idea to tell people? Say for example, just, you know, go back a year or so, what would you say to yourself back then? Or someone maybe in your position?
I would say, you know, I have had a couple of people saying, I think I hear this. I think what I always say, talk out loud to them. I mean, I know that once what I did is I laid down on my bed and I kind of like had my hands out like that and my feet out, and it's just like, Mum, if you're there, and I'd be like, touch my finger, touch my toe. Just ask, because they will find a way of showing you. Tickle my nose, do this. Like, it took a while for me to realise, you know, every time my mum played with my hair, it meant I was right about something as well. Mm-hmm. So in my readings, I'd say something and my hair would get played with, and I'm like, I'm on a roll, I'm right. And it made me stronger and kind of, you know, like on my hair like that. So I would say, for somebody don't think about the negative. Just take that negative notion that people put on spirit. Just take it away. Don't even invite it in. I don't think negative at all. Don't think negative. Speak out loud to them. I'm Sage. Sage, get some crystals if you're worried about yourself and everything, if you want to protect yourself. But you don't need to, because no one's going to just suddenly turn up when you call out for your mum. She ain't going to allow it. No, she's there. She's going to be like, you're not coming. Talk to them, because I think the more you talk to them and the more you try and push out and feel for them, the closer they're going to come. And I don't know if I'm right about this, actually, so you might be able to help me.
Go on.
People have been asking me, and someone asked me the other day, are you born this way or can you become it? Well, I believe you can become it. I believe you can open up and trust it and work it, and you can be a medium, or you can bring spirit closer if you really want it and you reach out. And the other thing is, people are like, I can't because I don't want to see anyone. I've never seen no one. If a man stood at the end of my bed, I'm jumping out the window. I ain't living here anymore. The house is getting burnt down. It's not happening. I'm terrified. But I don't. I see my mum. My brother's like funny blobs. But I've never seen another spirit with my eyes. I've never heard them speak into my ears. And so don't be afraid that you're going to see them with your eyes, or you'll hear them and things are going to get thrown about. I haven't seen anything get thrown about my table. I have never seen anything past my soul, past inside me, basically. And I think it's the fear. Because people say, I went to open and there's something happened and I put it shut, I was scared. Trust it. Trust it, because everybody's got a spirit guide. Everybody's got spirit want you to work with them. You just have to trust. And the other thing, if they want to do the psychic thing, I always say get a photograph. Get someone to give you a photograph of somebody that's passed away, and really try and look into that photograph and see if you can pick up the energy. Because I have always read photos, always. And I used to think it was normal in the paper. Like, I'd go through the paper and I'd go dead, 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 alive, alive, dead, dead, alive, alive. And I thought it was normal that you could see if someone's dead in a picture or alive. Yeah. But apparently it wasn't.
Well, that's the other thing I find as well, is people actually naturally do it. I mentioned this to someone earlier. The amount of people I have seen that naturally do this, that if I actually told them what they were doing, they'd be deeply offended by it because of maybe their social, political or religious views or whatever. But I've seen people do it. Maybe not so much give readings in the sense of connecting with spirit, but by giving the messages or working with that energy or transmuting that energy or just sharing that energy. I've seen people do it naturally. And it's a sense, as what I tell people. It's a sense. It's exactly the same as your sense of taste, your sense of smell, your sense of sight, and your sense of hearing.
Just all inward, isn't it?
Yeah. Nobody tells you how to. If I'm registered blind, and I grew up around a lot of blind people. And when I was about 11 years old, there was another boy around me who used to travel on the bus with me to school. And he turned around, he was about 5 or 6 years old, and he turned around and said, Jared, what's colour? Explaining colour to a blind person is not the easiest of tasks. And I've always reflected on that, and I realised that, we could see the colour red, but we don't know if we actually see that colour red exactly the same as each other, because we just identify the same colour as red. Yeah. If I look through someone else's eyes, that might appear blue to me, or it might appear orange to me, or yellow.
Yeah.
We don't know how well we perceive, except for what we can gather through consensus of how we see reality. And for me, it's a lot like that. It's like people ask about their imagination. Am I picking something up, or is it my imagination? And the answer is both, because you need the imagination for the connection.
Yeah, I'm more about... Okay, so you saw what I did with Lainey.
Mm.
The thing with Lainey is when I didn't know I could find David in her house. I didn't know I could do any of that. I just knew I wanted to read her and say, I've got your mum, get the message across. So when she said, will you come around the house? I said, yeah, but I'm going to try something with you. So I would do it if you try something. And she was like, oh, okay. So when it got to that moment, and you know the moment, don't you? And when it got to that moment when she sat there, and I was like, I don't need to do anymore, you do it. And that's when I said, you do it. And she'd always say, oh, Sam helped us find David. Sam, no, I didn't. Lainey got David's name. Lainey got where the cross was in the road. Lainey got how he died. I didn't do any of that. That was all Lainey. And the one thing I said to Lainey that you'll remember, the difference is imagination you question. Spirit, you don't question. And I said to Lainey, when she came out with it, and I said, no, his name's James, and he hung himself, stuff like that. I'm the medium. I came to her house. She doesn't think she's anything, yet she told me off and said, no, you're wrong. That's spirit.
Yeah, and
that's spirit.
I love the way you did that. She
doesn't take enough credit for that.
I don't know. You are the first medium in 7 years, because that's the way I used to work with people. It's one of the things I used to do with people. And you're apart from Richard, you're probably one of the few people I've come across who has actually gone to that level of saying, well, look, you can do it. You can do it. Come on, I'll show you. And I remember doing that in an investigation once, and what the person picked out sent them on such a road that they came back to me a few years later, and I was absolutely shocked by what they come back with. And that it's one of the most amazing feelings when you guide someone through that, and they connect. Like, you've helped someone form that connection. The relationship
between Lainey and Ben and David is because Ben has sight. He's watched what David's done around the house. But I think Lainey will always have a different relationship with him. Like, she will love him because she felt his spirit. He spoke to her, and with that comes this love, this pure. It's just love. And so it's almost like a mother carrying her child, and like you can love kids in the street, but it's different to loving the child that you carried around, because the feeling. And it's like, for that time, he connected and gave her his feelings and stuff like that, and that was a connection. And the one thing I love about that is that they genuinely love their ghost. It's a story like no other, really, is it?
Yeah.
All the other ones, you get people all over their social media. It's a demon. It's this. It's that. And it's like, okay, he's gonna be nice and then possess you. But he's taking his time. He's really he's it. Because it's like when she said, oh, someone grabbed my feet and tried to wake me up, and I went downstairs and there was glass on the floor, and my cat was in it, and I saved my cat from the glass, and people was like, it's a demon. Well, that was a nice demon. Standing glass.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
Well, Richard,
the amount of times, right, I have given a reading to someone, and it's been random, because that question is actually posed by Lainey and Ben.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that question. I thought you would be brilliant answering that, because you've had that.
Ask them if they like my cup.
Is that the Lainey and Ben cup I've seen?
I made it.
Oh, you made that, did you? I seen it on their channel. Yeah, the amount of time, right, I have had someone go, that's the devil, that is, right? And I've been bringing through poor old Nanny Pat.
Yeah.
And she's been coming through to tell this person that she's really proud of them, and she loves them, and she's in God's care, and she's happy, and she's with all the people she grew up with and she loved, but it's the devil. I don't know what the devil got to gain from that, right? I haven't got a jar of clue, right? What he got to gain from that. I have had readings in KFC. I've had readings in the bank, in supermarkets, I've had random people come to me in some of the most awkward places. Now, my teacher always used to give me a row for it. She said, one day you're going to get bit. And I said, I can't help you, I'm not. She said, but you're the postman. You know, it's up to you to deliver the letter. And I was in the bank, and this woman came here. I was trying to sort out my bank finances, and there was this young girl trying to help me. And this lady come in spirit, and she sat right next to me, and she was like this, poking me right in the arm, like this. And I'm like, oh no. I said, oh, I was looking at that, I was thinking, oh God, this isn't appropriate. I can't, I'm not best at bank things anyway. I don't like banks. So, and I was like, I said, excuse me, Missy. I said, can you take this name? On her face was a picture, right? And she sort of did the old wide eyes and looked at me. I said, she said, why? I said, well, I've got a lady here in spirit. I'm a medium. I said, I got a lady here in spirit. She won't leave me alone until I pass this message on. And she went, I'm a Christian. She said, that's the devil. That's the devil, that is. And I was like, oh, no. I passed the message on anyway, regardless. I said, well, look.
Well, the devil said, your nan said.
Yeah, I said, your nan said, you've just done a course, you've just passed, and she is so proud of you, and she loves you, and she knows you struggled, and she just wants to tell you that you know, she is proud of you. And I remember telling Gwen, and she was like, I told you not to do it, and it happened. I had the most random message, and the amount of people that have said to me though that, oh, that's a demon, that is, and it baffles
You can
me.
only give the message. I've had, because I've not done this anywhere, only in Lainey and Ben's thing. That's the only place I've, like, from them, I've done all their viewers, and that's how I do it, and I love it, and I make friends, and it's just nice. But one thing is, on their feedback, I'm like a witch. I'm just like the most evil person ever. And I just like look at them and laugh and think, you know, your comments that you make, it doesn't change who I am. I don't suddenly go, oh no, I must be a witch. I must have the devil in me. Like, oh, I missed that one. It doesn't make any difference to me. So why even, and why even plug in your laptop and go on the channel and spend an hour watching it to hate it and criticize it and then call me a demon at the end of it, a demon lover or whatever they want to say. It's like, that says something about you. Like, you've just wasted an hour on something you don't believe in.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, and I've luckily never had someone say that to me on a message or on one of my readings. I don't know how I'll react because I'm quite outspoken, and I'd be like, what? I don't know how I'd react. I haven't had it. I've had no one with a chat telling me that, so I'm lucky, like, so far. I'm sure I've got one coming at some point.
I tend to have the philosophy. I tend to have the philosophy that I might have the unpleasant experience of dealing with them for 10 minutes. They have to live like that. Now, I've had my moments. Don't get me wrong. I've had my moments. Someone called me a crisis actor earlier this year, and I just lost my head. Like, but you know, it's been phenomenous where sometimes I've gone to Richard, now we've got to be careful what we say to people and all the rest of it. The next thing he knows, I'm there absolutely brawling with someone.
Me and Lainey have this thing where we text each other what we really should be saying, and then it's like, oh wow. What we're texting each other, you can't write.
Yeah. You will get in them positions. You're going to get in them positions where you get people. And
I'll just give them their money back and carry on my day.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, I never learnt from the church, right, that if somebody's going through a transition, right, so they have a big life decision to make, which is a big one. Spirit they've just backed off. They've just gone.
It's free will, isn't it?
Yeah, I've just left me sitting there. And I'm like,
packed their bags, like.
Yeah, they've just buggered off and left me sitting there. And I've been like, right, well, if you're going through a transition, then that's a decision you have to make.
Trust your gut.
Yeah, that's the position. Spirit, know that's a decision you can't be influenced for. But the amount of mediums will just waffle on after that point because they get in that thing and they just like, well, it's money. And I've seen it. Our teacher taught us to do it, right? Genuinely now, to cold read. So we could keep an eye out for it. And if we ever saw a medium cold reading, we were to shop them, right? Because they frown on it. And she showed us how it was done. She could do it just by looking at the clothes.
This is what I mean. I've never had someone teach me anything.
Yeah.
And this is what, when I speak to you guys, or when I... Actually, when I spoke the other day and I was saying how I've been getting really strong, like I feel heavier with what I'm feeling and everything. And I'm not sure which one it was because you both chat the same chat. But one of you said it's like going to the gym and you're kind of weightlifting and your muscles are working. You get stronger and stronger with your muscles. And it's like, yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't. You need people to bounce off to kind of make you go, yeah, that's true. But you don't have it written anywhere, and it doesn't come to your own mind. And so, and I watched this one with you, and you were sat in a car, and you was like quite sad about speaking about people. And I was watching it, and I was thinking, this guy, you love spirit, Richard. You love spirit. You are on spirit's side. And when I speak to anyone, I'll say to them, I will take spirit side before I'll take a human, because I feel like, like I truly do think it's the most beautiful. I love it. And I might complain sometimes when I think, oh God, I've got to go read today. But I think, oh, I don't mean that. Please don't take it away, because it's just the laziness. But I love it. I love it. Heals me as well. The whole thing, it heals me as well. When I'm talking to someone, I sometimes I'll speak to someone and I'll go, oh God, I wonder if I should take that. And I'll ask them for advice and go, oh right, that's probably what happened to me. Like I will connect in that way and kind of say, I've just learned something with you, because I've just got it from spirit and not a book half an hour ago.
When I used to do development groups, I used to go on. Sorry, Rich.
Yeah, go on, Jazz. Go on,
I was just going to say, when I used to do development groups, I used to say to people that, I'm no teacher. Please don't refer to me as a teacher. I say, because I learn just as much as you do. I only facilitate spirit to do the learning. I'm a medium for spirit to communicate. I am picking, Rich, I'll let you have your say first, but I am picking something up, and it's not leaving me, so it feels like it's meant to come out now. So, but what was you going to say, Rich?
I'm going to win the lottery. I don't do it, but...
Have the numbers in private, otherwise everybody's going to win the lottery.
I don't do the lottery. My mum used to say if she won, I'd get the money, so I never did it.
I was just going to say that I have had a funny relationship. I love spirit. You are absolutely true. I love, like, not the word spirituality, but what being spiritual means, right? And it's how I've been in a unique position where I have stood before something through meditation. I sort of put it in a video today, funny, and I felt that unconditional love, right? The love that all of us have the potential to be.
To give.
Yeah, right? We can be love, right? And we all have that potential, regardless of what we've been through. And I'm not naive. I know that's a lot easier said than done for some people. But I love it. But I have had my moments of spirit where they have dragged me screaming and kicking.
I haven't had it.
I've had it where I've been like, you lot can jog on, and they've gone, really? And they have dragged me back, and then I've sat me down. They've given me a good talking to, and I've been like, all right, I've had that moment a couple of times through this journey. Even, what happened to us a couple of years ago, where I was helping someone for 7 years, right? And that's a long time to help someone.
I was married for 7 years. It's like a sentence.
Yeah, I helped someone for 7 years, and at the end of it, I ended up getting, basically, for want of a better word, cursed. And it flipped my world upside down. And I got to be honest, and Jazz is, a bear witness, and this isn't an offence to Jazz, but I was on my own with it. I was living on my own.
No.
I'd been through a lot. I was feeling it on my own. I was facing it. And I still come out of it with the same love for spirit. Mm-hmm. Because I know that that was asked of me, because I love this person. I wanted to see them prosper. I wanted to see them have a better life. And I did that with love. And it took me a year and a half to realise the reward from that, the sacrifice I made, and what I got out of it. It's just, money can't buy it. There's no words. You can't sum it up.
Yeah.
They knew I was going to go through it, and they knew that I had to discover that on my own. And I don't know any malice towards them. I have the same love for spirit. I have the same nothing.
But then, can I ask you though, Richard? Isn't there a difference between spirit? Like you're saying spirit, but isn't it the same as people? There's some. I was about to do my first swear word. There's some gits out there but there's some really genuine, nice people out there. Isn't that the same as in spirit? You know, like we've got some really nasty people out there in this world. Really nasty people.
It's a reflection of one's a reflection of the other. It's like I went through a very different story to Richard, but it took me to it took me to a very dark place as well, and it's love of the connection, what spirit are trying to do, and I don't know. I've never really connected it with a love of people, personally. What's your take?
Oh God, people! Ugh. Don't like people. People, they're just.
It's the person. It's the connection. It's the connection with the person I love. It's the one-on-one connection, or with a small group.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I would never do. My mum has told me that I could do a group. She has said to me, you can do a group. And one of my best friends said, oh, I'll have a girls' night and I'll have all these girls round, come round. I won't do it. I don't want to be that person. I'm just not that person.
Yeah.
I want one-to-one. I want to give you my undivided attention and just read for you. And then I just don't want to.
No, I enjoyed the stage work. I did enjoy the stage work because you had a different thing again. But I would prefer to do stage work. If I was ever to do stage work again, I wouldn't do clairvoyant nights. I would do it in some other way, like impart knowledge or.
Just so many people.
Yeah, it's the fact that like it was the disappointment for the people who didn't get the message through from spirit side of life, and the people that unless they directly had a message, a lot of people weren't taking the overall theme of the evening. When we did a lot more of the paranormal interaction stuff, when we did that was brilliant because people were experiencing it for themselves. It wasn't me giving them a message.
As a whole,
they were experiencing it for themselves and they were connecting with it themselves. So when you do it as a group like that, where people are connecting and you don't put any sort of expectation as to the outcome, which is what happens in a lot of circles. You know, you're expected to experience this, you're expected to experience that. If you experience this, we don't talk about that, as Richard said. You know, that's the thing that I find is if you actually let people explore. You know, I had groups of people who were all registered blind, had different paths. Like one went down the tarot, one went down the more mystical, magical route, some went down the mediumship route. So, but they were all able to grow and work with each other, and that's where it's the Force. Spirit, when I think of spirit, I think of like the Force out of Star Wars.
It's in Star Wars.
Well, have an idea. Well, there you go.
Harry Potter?
Yeah, similar sort of thing. Similar sort of thing. Like the magic in Harry Potter. Very similar sort of thing. Very, very similar pretext. You know, it's the essence of it. It's the love. Is
it the intention? It's the intention, isn't it, that you're giving into it?
It's the journey. It's the journey and the ability to explore yourself. And all... I
have a phobia of crowds. I'm agoraphobic. So it's not because it's crowds in general make me nervous. Yeah. So I've been good with a crowd.
Yeah. No, everyone works differently. Everyone works differently. And, you know, this is the other way that people. This is the other thing why it's so important, like you said, about building your own relationship with spirit, because it's everyone works differently. There's no right. There's no this way, that way. There's your way, and as long as it's done with love, empathy, compassion, and kindness, you will find your way because. Different people are exploring different things. There's so many different aspects.
Yeah, I agree.
To this,
I tend to listen. I tend to, like I'll listen to somebody, but I'll take from it what works for me,
and leave the
I'll
rest.
Leave behind what doesn't.
Yes.
And I always say that even when I do a reading, I'll say, look, take from what I've given you what works for you, but in the end, trust your gut. And so because of Spirit taught me, because of the way I have this, I don't ever want it to leave, because it came. I don't know how, if they can take it away. I don't know how it works. So I never want somebody to influence me. I won't allow it, because I don't ever want them to touch what's happened to me, because I haven't had a middleman.
Exactly.
I've been taught from them themselves, and I don't want anybody. I won't go to a psychic circle. I won't go to a spiritualist church. I don't want them to touch what I've already been taught. So I'll take advice and I'll listen, and all that lot, but I'll take from it what I feel I need,
is right
and
for you.
What I don't feel is for me. And I think that's the point. Like you said, everybody has different ways of doing it. Everyone has the spirit guides have different ways of showing them stuff, and everyone has a different way of believing, and everyone, and I think it's okay to listen. You don't have to ignore it. It's okay to listen, but take from it what works for you, what you believe. Don't push it on someone. Don't be pushy. Don't turn around and say, no, that's not true. What happened? No. For you, that must be what happened.
Exactly.
But for someone else, it's a different way, and I don't like pushy people.
It's a relationship. It's just, if I could kindly just use you as an example of my and your friendship, Rich. We've been we've been doing this for like 7 years together now, nearly 8 come the middle of this year, and we both have different ideals, we both have different visions, but we've learned the best ways to work with one another, and we've every time we've come up against any drama or whatever, we've always overcome it, and we've always actually been better off because of it. It's the same with any friendship. It's like any partnership. As long as you both have that same love for what you're doing, and you're willing to listen to one another and listen to how you are impacting the other person and how the other person's impacting with you, it's the exact same relationship with spirit guides or your loved ones that work with you in spirit. They have to know the best ways to work with you, so you have the best ways of working with them. It's exactly like any other human relationship.
Yeah. It's just nicer.
Yeah, and in reference to that, I didn't get that across, but in reference to me saying what I said earlier about being cursed, that wasn't spirit that did that to me. That was a person.
Yeah, we've spoken about this because I've had it as well.
Yeah, that was a person did that. It wasn't nothing to do with spirit. The person's intent. That was an person, and that was a person on Earth's intent.
But don't you think if that person had that intent, they're getting help from something?
Oh yeah, they are.
To be able to curse you, they're getting help from something that they've dragged through.
Yeah, there is two sides. I mean, for me and Jazzy, we had a different. Just being a medium and just being in that sort of category, you are protected, right?
Yeah.
You're safe in that environment. You are safe. Like for me and Jazzy, we go out there and we are called to things that are extraordinary, and for the people that's going through it, terrifying. And sometimes it's just loved ones, they're trying to get a message and they're panicking and they might knock something.
Yeah.
You've witnessed that. Everything becomes paranormal. Everything's heightened, so you're in a state of fear. And it is just a loved one. They're worried because you're stressed. We've had that scenario many a times, but then we've had the opposite where it is something quite dark and negative. I mean, it is an absolute split when it comes to light and dark, and in regards to that curse, I believe that I just stepped over that line. I was trying, and I knew I stepped over it. I just was so in a state of trying to fix it that I was kind of, in my naivety, I was a bit willing to take the brunt of it. But it's a different kind of thing, and when you put yourself out there like that as a light worker in that sense, unfortunately, there's things that don't like it. There's things that don't want you to spread love. There's things that don't want you to promote peace and joy and happiness and show people this wonderful connection to spirit. They don't like it. No, that's a given. Like people don't, as you will.
Yeah. My mum has told me I'm not allowed to go to haunted houses. I'm not allowed to. I'd love to, just to see if I get anything, but I've been told I am not allowed. No. She's like, I'm doing my best. Do you know those memes with the angels with their her head in her hand. This is my mother constantly. So she's just like, no, don't do it, Sam. Don't go into the house. She's just like running around trying to protect me from anything. And so I've just got to really behave, and I'm not allowed. I'm not allowed to. And I watch all these ghost shows. I love them. I watch Ghost Adventures. I watch Dead Files. I watch all of them. And they've got some bad things. And I'm like, Mama, should I be watching this? And she's like, no, but okay. Because I sometimes think, wow, like I'm taking on, you know, but it's through the TV, and she says I'm safe because I do love them. And it is like a horror thing, isn't it? We like what scares us. But I've never, luckily, never ever come across anything that's done anything to me to scare me. Except when my mum stood at the door, it scared me for a minute.
Yeah, but you're in like I said, you're in a unique position. You've got that protection. When that, you know, our loved ones, like I never had a spirit guide, right? I was told that I haven't got one. And when I was in the church, and nobody wanted the job, because nobody volunteered. They were all like, "Yeah, jog on." And
that's actually quite sad.
And I understand if you've ever watched mediums and stuff like that. There's a good part where, you know, good old Derek Akola, bless his heart, when he was on Most Haunted, and as much as he used to ham it up, and as much as he used to play right there, and you know, Mary Loves Dick and everything else. He did have a spirit guide, and he was a genuine medium, right? I know people who had readings of him, and he'd give them information that he could not know, and they were.
I went to see him live, and he wasn't that good.
Yeah,
but I do think it was towards the end of his career.
Yeah.
And I just think I don't know. He just wasn't picking stuff up from people.
No, it's happened. I mean, when he did Llancaig Fawr, I mean, he went to Nelson. The day before, and he was asking in the pub all different questions, and he just aired it on the telly. You know, he didn't really use mediumship, but he was getting £25,000 a month upwards for that show. I mean, that money is going to make you go, I really love it.
Yeah.
Right?
It's,
you know, you're going to
pay. He was amazing.
Yeah. Now, he gave my friend James a reading, and James said it was one of the best readings he'd ever had. But he was on one of the shows, and his spirit, I think it was Sam?
Yeah, it was Sam.
Sam got completely disconnected from him, right?
Is that what happened?
Yeah. Like, his spirit guide got completely severed from him. And you see Derek Akora's reaction to that. He is genuinely terrified, right? He took, and I know this because I watched things like that, and he took a bit of time out for it, right? Now, I think because of the things I was going to do, I think that's the reason why I didn't have a spirit guide, because I was going to put myself in like some silly positions and places. And it was like, you know, they gave me all the tools I needed to deal with it. But they were like, you know, unfortunately, this is a road you can only take on your own.
Yeah.
Who is willing, you know, in a weird sense, why am I willing to do it? But it's just because I wanted, like, you know, as you know, Sam, I wanted to show the love of it. I wanted to show the power and the love and the connection to each other. And all this malarkey, this divide that's in the world and all this stuff that's happening is all just ridiculous. And it is so as far away from spirit as you can possibly get.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
When I've been doing reading lately, it's a very weird thing with spirit and COVID, because they're like, oh, you know, usually when I do a psychic reading, a spirit reading, I can see, and every time they're like, oh, ask my mum if I'm going to have a bet or anything like that, I'm going, they can't see past COVID. It's like, I don't know if this has happened with you, but most spirits that I speak to, they don't get it. They don't get it. It's like it's completely not, like they can't tell you beyond COVID.
Yeah, because, and we've covered this on the channel.
Okay.
If you have a look at, I'll send you some videos.
Yeah, please.
Basically, we are going through a tremendous turning point in human history right now, where we have become quite disconnected as a society from that side of our nature.
Yeah.
And I've called it, throughout this, I've called it a Red Sea moment, which I robbed from, I think it was like a pastor in America, but who explained it brilliantly. Basically, you take the story of Moses, right?
Yeah.
And Moses leads the Israelites and he leads them to the Red Sea. And when you get to the Red Sea, you had the Egyptian sort of kings and his armies closing in, and they were going, the old is there not enough graves in Egypt type thing, where they thought they were done for. Do you know, like where Richard mentioned about when you get to that turning point and you've got like a tough decision to make, spirit will step back.
Yeah.
These times represent that for people en masse because of the complexities of everything that's going on, down to and how it's affecting everyone uniquely and individually. What happens with this will set the course for how things move forward in the future. So because that choice hasn't been fully made yet, they can't see totally past it. That's why I stopped reading.
It's just me.
No,
I'm just like,
it's the exact read.
Every time they ask a question about the future to their loved ones, they're stumped.
Yeah, because
I can't.
It's not they're stumped. They are not allowed to influence that decision.
Because
the person who's asking the question has chosen to be here for that time. And it's going. It can be so many different things. For just look at what's going on in the world. Just not including COVID, but look at all the governments that are in upheaval. The amount of other stuff that's going on. The stuff that's been going on in America. The stuff that's been going on across the European countries lately. It's a huge transitional point in our history. We have these. Once or twice every 100 or so years, but this one's a big one because it's affecting everyone. Even though the world wars affected everyone, they didn't affect it in the same way because you didn't have the technology where information was available literally instantly, and because that has changed the world so much, it's affected. It's where if you see someone in India, they are affected by COVID just as much as someone in Los Angeles or someone in Australia or someone in England. So it's because of the way the world is, it's having a much different impact.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It just clarifies for me that I'm still kind of doing the right thing, because that's something that's come up a lot. And usually, I'm going, and they're like, "Oh, will I go to university?" And I'm going, they don't know. I'm not getting anything past COVID. Yeah. I'm just not getting anything. I am not able to tell anyone's future right now. And sometimes I get a sense, and sometimes I'm able to say certain things. I'm just not seeing past it.
Well, Steve Huff had a message, and we put this out. Loads of people, whether it was through ITC, whether it was through religious prayer, whether it was through mediumship, whether it was through all these different things, divination, dowsing, but it was summed up for me personally by an ITC session that Steve Huff from Huff Paranormal did back in January of last year, and he asked what will happen in 2020, and he had a response of 3 words, which was the world ends. Now, obviously the world is still here. We're all still here. What has ended is the paradigm that we were in. And nothing.
I said God reshuffled the cards.
Yes.
That's how I said it. That's why I saw it. I was like, he's just reshuffled the cards.
That's brilliant. That's fan-bloody-tastic. I love that. Because I always use the symbology of 52 card pickup. When you get a pack of cards, you throw them up and they land. At the moment, the cards haven't landed, and it's affecting people individually, but it's also affecting the globe. It's affecting people nationally. On every level, so individually, within families, within communities, within nations, and across the globe. It's affecting people in so many ways, and it's like literally. I remember one last year where it was the energy was so bad that it felt it was going to go down a really, really dark road. And something literally in one night changed, and that was the decision that America made to close the borders. When America closed the borders, that one little thing changed the outcome. So there's so many things that are shifting at the moment. The outcome is not written, if that makes sense.
Because it's free will still, isn't it? It's like everybody, the people that are in charge of us still need to make decisions. So we don't know what's going to spread or what's going to happen until decisions are made, and then it's the effects of those decisions. It's domino, isn't it?
It's the domino effect, and it's not just people in charge. It's everyone. It's every one of us.
Every single person.
You know.
Yeah. That's why people like us have been receiving the call, and there's. You can't explain it. It's in your belly, and people like us are being called forward, right, to do these things, to talk to people and be there, and be that shoulder to cry on, and be that place of understanding. Because whichever outcome unfolds from this is going to be, unfortunately, a dramatic one. And this like Jazz said, there's different facets, which you explained brilliantly. I gotta be honest, then, Jazz.
Well, thank you, Matt.
Different facets. No, it was good.
Thank you.
There's different facets.
You gotta say something profound now.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna. I can't. No. I know. You know what? I'm in the other camp when it comes to COVID. Unfortunately, I can't air my views on YouTube. I'm just in that camp. I have tried for this last year for a sign, even just say something, just prove something to me, and I haven't had it. But I'll keep that. It's my personal belief. But this, whatever shift happens in this, it unfortunately, the mental health of these countries and our country has plummeted.
Yeah, the amount of suicides and everything.
Yeah. People haven't got a clue. They're so focused on what the news is telling them that they're not seeing beyond it. They're not looking at nothing that's going on.
But they're doing the advertising, aren't they? And they're saying, ask them if they're okay. And it's like, that's a great idea. But do you know what? You're still going to get the same response. They're saying yes, but they're not. It's asking someone if they're okay isn't going to do it, because it's easy to say yes and shut your door.
But that's the hard bit, is you cannot force help upon anyone else. The only thing you can do is you can only be there to help people when they ask for it. No matter what's gone down, the call that people are being asked to answer from like the spirit side of life, whether that's through religion, whether that's through what we are doing, through paranormal, anyone that has a connection or link to God, right? And I can't believe I'm hearing myself say this, but anyone who has a link to God, that's what they're being asked to do, is whatever goes down, you have to be the one at the other side with the first aid kit, just to help them. And and
I've spoken to many people that's in lockdown alone.
Yeah.
On their own, and I've read to them, and I've ended up speaking to them and chatting to them, because they're on their own in lockdown, and it can be really sad. It's really sad.
Yeah, it's a savage thing. I am picking some stuff up, but I don't know whether to say it on the show or not. Do you want me to say it on the show, or shall I? Are you comfortable with me saying it on the show, Rich?
Yeah, as long as Sam is, if you can do it after the show.
I can do it after the show. It doesn't have to be. All it was can you take someone touching you on the hand? I know you mentioned that earlier, but I had a lady with, she had short brown hair. Felt like it was greying when she was older, but it didn't lose its colour, and glasses. She has a long sort of coat, like a Mac type thing that I'm seeing, and I'm also seeing something to do with folding clothes, like especially a connection with beach towels. And she's also showing me a silver, I don't know if it's a bracelet or a watch, but she's showing me like a Like one of those old style watches you used to get. Does that make any sense to you?
So my mum has short brown hair.
Right.
Like here.
Yeah.
It would grey, but not for long because she'd dye that.
Yeah.
My mum had a long rain Mac, and the beach towels are funny because it's two meanings I can take from the beach towels. One, I stole all my mum's beach towels.
Can you take like?
I stole all my mum's clothes. When
Sorry, can I interrupt? Can I interrupt just a second? She's also showing me a radiator, but the old style radiator. Do you know like the old ones are like most radiators, just like a white long radiator? Do you know like the radiators you see in like buildings, like public buildings, with like the grey ones when they're... Does that make any sense to you?
No, I can't get the radiator. I mean, we had a really old fire, but we never had radiators in the 80s.
Right, I don't know what...
The other thing is it's funny that you're bringing up a silver bracelet. Now it's not it's not a silver watch. It is a silver bracelet.
Right.
And the story goes, so my son was turning, I don't know what age, but what are they called? The games? Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
It was his birthday. And I really, really wanted to get him a Game Boy Advance for birthday. But like I said, I'm a single mum. So my mum met me in the shopping centre and she gave me this silver bracelet. It had a few kind of thingies in it as well. And she said, I was going to leave this to you in my will. I don't plan on dying anytime soon. Take it, get the money for it and buy it for him. Because she used to buy it off QVC network and stuff like that. She bought loads of stuff. So I did exactly that. And a year later she died. And when she died, everyone got jewellery but me. And my dad was just like, there's a bracelet missing. And I don't know where that went. So I went into my mum's cupboard where all her clothes are folded. And I put them all in a black bag and I brought them home. And I was like, I don't need your jewellery. I've got your clothes. So it does kind of make sense. But that bracelet thing, I don't have no jewellery. My sister's got rings.
Was she quite house proud, or can you take anything to do with pressing trousers, making sure trousers were ironed properly?
She ironed everything, but my dad made her iron everything. I'm just about to show you something, if you don't mind.
Go nuts.
Oh, I don't even know where to go.
That's him.
Yeah, that's the lady in the face. Her hair appeared shorter to me.
She did have it a lot shorter.
Yeah,
she had it shorter.
But she had.
But she really took care of herself. So the Nivea, like that.
Yeah, because she's drawing me to her hands. She have arthritis or problem with her hands?
No, but she had the softest hands.
Right, because she's drawing me to her hands as well. And I think she just she's just wanted to make her presence known, I think.
The thing is I did say, I was speaking to her yesterday or something like that, and I was going, it's such a shame that I'm a medium. Yeah, I can't go to no one that can give a message from my mum because I'm the thingy. So it's funny that you kind of come through and gave me a few things that she's like, okay, well, here we go. Let's have it now live.
Yeah.
But yeah, the beach towels is funny because I gathered her beach towels to go on I just kept taking all her towels until she had no towels left. I'd steal things from her house.
Is it like
just clothes and stuff?
She's showing me like a certain. It looks like a broth or a stew to me, but it's like it would all like a broth or a stew, right?
What?
Like a soup.
Stew.
Yeah, like a stew.
Stew and dumplings.
But it was like there was something off about it, or it was like she'd always burn the soup or something like that.
No, she made a perfect stew and dumplings, and then one time she was going away on holiday and I had my boyfriend stay over. So she said, all I'm going to do is put it in the pot and then you just need to slowly cook it. Stew and dumplings done. But I don't know how to cook at 15. I turned it onto a high heat and the whole thing went black.
Did you ruin the pot?
Yeah, I ruined the whole thing. It's black.
Because that's just I've been having this taste all evening, right, of...
And he tried to eat it.
It's like off food, and I could, like, as if I could smell something burning. And I'm like,
Yeah, that did happen.
I can see this pot, and it's like beautiful old sort of pot, like the older sort of, like the older generation would have had back in the 80s and 90s.
It was it was 90. How old am I? It was about 90. I was 16, so I was born in 75. So yeah, it was about 91.
And it was just like it was ruined, but it was almost like she saw. I don't know whether she's saying she could see this funny side now of it, or whether it was like it was almost like something funny around it. If it's like it's a fond memory.
It's just that she put it all out for me, and all I had to do was heat it up. That's it. That was one job. Heat it up. But I put it on high and left it. I just remember him sat at the table trying to eat it, but you had to like break you had to break the dumplings. They were like just hard as anything, and the steward stuck all to the pan, and it was wedged. It was just it was like, even when I tried to scrape the pan, it just was. I threw it. I couldn't get it out. So yeah, that happened.
She wants to say congratulations as well, and just to say to you that, look, you are on the right path, because you've been asking. It's almost like you've been asking for a sign for some time, and you knew it was going to happen. You just didn't know when, and it was like it's almost like you've had like a really an accelerated learning experience then, as if like things have been speeded up for you. And
so the other day, last week or 2 weeks ago, I messaged Lainey, or I spoke to Ben. I was so overwhelmed because I'd never done this with all these readings, and I was doing a reading every day, and around Christmas I was doing 2 a day, and I'm shy and I'm reserved and I'm private, and all of a sudden I was seeing people on video, and I was reading, and this was happening, and then what happened was somebody on YouTube, because I commented on a few things, they went on my YouTube, and the only thing I have on my YouTube is a video of my brother who wrote and sang his own song before he died, and it was about him dying, and somebody commented on it. A lovely comment. It was like, oh, what a but it was too close to the bone for me. It was too intrusive. It was too personal. And it started to make me fluster and question everything. And then I was just like, it's too much. It was too much. And I remember speaking to Lainey and Ben and saying to them, I'm just going through this kind of thing. And I got my son, who said to me, Mum, I can turn that to private. And then, Mum, take a Wednesday off. And he's like, I know you are tired. I see it. But I've never seen you more alive. I've never seen you more kind of like with purpose and stuff. And he believes I'm crazy. The way he sees it is I'm really crazy, and other people join in my crazy with their craziness because he doesn't believe in. But that will do for him. But he did this, so it really did happen. I did question. I was overwhelmed, and I thought, I'm not cut out for this. It's too much. But then I thought, you know what? I'll go with it. It's like, yes, it is a lot, and yes, I am suddenly talking to people, and yes, I am letting people into my life, and yes, I am doing this. But do you know what? What's happening with it is I'm spreading the word for spirit, and I'm helping, and I am maybe kind of helping with my social phobia and stuff. So it's funny you say that, because I did say, Mum, I'm struggling. And I'm not being disrespectful, I'm not being ungrateful, I'm struggling because it's all, and I've shot up, and all this is happening. But I took a couple of days, and I started to center myself.
Yeah. To do this now, right, with everything that's going on in the world, with all the uncertainty, right, with all, literally, like, from people that could come at you that have been through so much, right? And there's so much, like, things going on. To do this now and to thrive the way you have, you need to be proud of yourself, because that takes a lot of guts. It does. Because to actually be able to do this and bring this message through, it is not easy. It is hard.
And you feel like you're moaning, but I don't want to moan in case they take it off me. I don't. No,
they're not going to take it off you. They understand. They're not going to take. They understand. Christ, I've had arguments with my brother. I can peel paint off of walls. I've thrown things at, I've seen him physically, and I've thrown things at him, and he's gone straight through me. It's still not going to change.
You wouldn't believe the arguments I've had. You wouldn't believe this.
I've called him everything under the sun.
You're fine. Honestly, Sam, you're doing marvellous.
Thank you so much.
Like I said, when we seen you on with Lainey and Ben, and I just thought, and we both, me and Jazz said, you did an amazing thing, and you did the right thing, and
we just got to persuade Lainey to work with it now.
She'll find her feet in it. She will find her feet in it. Lainey will find her feet in it. She'll have the same thing. She'll have that aha moment, that eureka moment, and she'll just know. Yeah. And it's, some people, we're all different. We've all been through different things. Some of us have the capacity to help. Some of us have, we all, that's why there's healers, that's why there's people that do Reiki, that's why there's people that do this, that's why there's people that just do psychometry. There's different aspects of this path, and it'll find it. But when you've got the right person, like you are for Lainey, she'll get there a bit better.
And don't forget, there are people who are doing this in the, in the physical world. There are people who are, doctors, engineers, scientists, etc., who, following their path, are getting close to the same thing, but just in a different way.
Yeah.
It's all connected. It just working with spirit and giving readings. That's one way. There's many, many others, and some people will see it as working with spirit. Some people will see it as working with God. Other people will see it as just doing the right thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what gets you there, as long as you get there.
Yeah, I like spreading. I want to take away the perception of spirits, ghosts. I just need that, and I am, because every person I speak to, I know leaves with a and I've been having messages from kids that I won't read, and they've kind of been asking me, and I've been talking to them, and there was this one girl that fought her granddad, and she was so worried, and I explained to her about how they're still around, and she was so happy, and I thought, you know what, for me to have this young girl leave knowing that her granddad's okay, because she said he had a horrible death and it was terrible, and she wants to know if he's with his daughter. She was just really worried, and for me to explain everything to her, and for her to get it and take it in, and then for her to leave, I know that she's going to be a better adult, because I know that she's learned everything like that, and I know that I've saved her a lot of therapy. She's just saved herself a lot of crap that she's going to have as she grows, because she took, because she now believes in the spirit and stuff. And I think younger kids, it is okay for them to be open to it as well. You don't have to be scary ghost stories all the time.
Yeah.
It is okay. You don't have to tell them everything, but it is okay to say there is such thing as ghosts, but they're just people that have passed over that are just still living in our world in that way. It's just be nice. Be nice about it. You don't unless it happens. It's like in real life, isn't it? You meet someone and they give you respect, you respect them back. They're horrible to you, you're horrible back, or you just say, I'm distancing myself to you, I don't like you. Do that. Don't paint spirits as a certain thing until they've done something to earn that.
Exactly the same as
know that they're just trying to.
It's exactly the same as people, and in regards to that connection, on my brother's stone, it has a saying which says, "Those we love don't walk away; they walk beside us every day." And yeah. I've always lived by that.
Yeah, my brother, when he was dying, I went to say my goodbye to him because he'd gone to Suffolk, and he was, and he was like, oh, everybody leave the room, and I was like, oh, so I went to him, and he was like, so we need a safe word on the board, and I was just like, I can't have this conversation with you. He's like, what word should we have? And he was like, should we have Elvis? And my brother was literally talking about coming back in spirit.
Yeah.
And he was talking so matter of fact, and we were talking so matter of fact that anybody that would have been in that room would have thought we were just completely lost our heads.
My brother's...
And he found like a safe word, like he got his word, and he said, right, I'm coming back, and that's the word. And he does it all the time.
My brother used to do it to me. He used to say to me, well, I'm going to go before you, Ja. I used to say, don't be so bloody stupid. He said, yeah, I used to go way before you. I used to say, why? He goes, I'm not going to your funeral. I'm not put myself through that. It's always say that to me. It was, you look at back, like it was weird. It was really strange.
It just shows you the connection
that you have.
Like when I die, I want to die that way. I want to know that I'm coming back. I want to know that it's just a crossover and then I'll be back. I do know. But wouldn't everybody? I mean, like, I don't know how someone exists thinking you die and then you're worm food. Like my ex-husband, like, you're dead and then you're worm food. And I'm like, how can you exist how can you move? How do you live with that? I don't, because it's lonely.
I had a friend, and I know people who do feel like that, or agnostic, and a lot of people will take comfort from the fact that, like, not just genetically we pass information on to our forebearers, but it's the way we influence the world around us as well. And I think you can be spiritual and not believe in an afterlife. It's because it's in how you act. It's the fact that, like, it's the belief that you have one shot at it, and it's about the impact that you leave behind. And I think there are people that think that way, and they do leave a very good impact on the world they leave behind.
Yeah, I just know that my mum, like, if I didn't have this, I don't think I'd survive it. I wouldn't have survived my mum's passing, and that's why when I speak to people and I connect with their parents or their kids or and stuff like that, that second it clicks into their head that we've got them. You see it's almost like you see them relax. Yeah. It's like you see a weight off their shoulders.
It's a big message to tell someone that there is an afterlife, and even to the realms of prove there is an afterlife. You can't get bigger. I mean, doctors can't do that. I mean, really, you speak to them, that's not what they're going to tell you. I have a good friend that is quite confident in the fact that he will become nitrogen. When he dies, he will become worm food. And that's his comfort.
But his body will be, but not his soul.
Well, he believes that he'll be gone, and he's gone. Like he was before he was born, it'll be like he will when he passes. And he's completely fine with it.
Yeah.
And then my other friend is, like, couldn't be more opposite. Like, she wants you to come down. She wants angels to come down from heaven with a chair, and they're like, "Come on!" And you know what I mean. But she wants to see that before she even thinks about it. And, it's the big question. It's the biggest question. And, and that's what we got to think about. That's what we're part of. You're never going to know, like, individually, but you're never going to be able to prove it 100%. And there's a reason for it. Because, especially in light of what's happening in the world now, we'd all be like, oh, stuff this, I'm off to heaven.
Yeah.
They're not locking people down up there.
Yeah.
So that's why faith, that's why there's always that little fight, and I've said this many times, that's why I believe there's always that little 5%, even in ourselves as readers.
Yeah.
There's that little 5% that just clicks in now and again and go, oh, where did that come from? Or what was that? Or, and you have to explain it to yourself. And that is important, because that keeps us going forward and looking and finding the truth.
Yeah.
Right, guys, we're getting on to the end of the show because it's getting up to 9:45 now. Is there anything you guys would like to talk about before we finish today's show? Hello?
Anything to say?
Oh, me? I thought you was asking people. Sorry, I thought you was asking the people in chat. I was like, I think No, I think the only other thing I want to ask maybe is just to clarify really, when I've been doing readings and when people have been with their loved ones as they pass away, I keep seeing them at the end of the bed. I keep seeing, and what I found from a lot of them, and I'd be interested in what your views are, is what I found is the spirit, when it leaves the body, it stays with them until they take the body. So when a spirit dies, like say someone's mother died, she will be met by whoever, but she stays there to comfort them. And then when they kind of leave, or the undertakers take her, that's when she crosses over. Because I just keep seeing all the time when someone's around their loved ones that's passed away, that they've always stayed around their body and around them afterwards. They haven't gone straight off. Is that something that...
Yeah, normally they will normally stay around for a while just to make sure everyone's okay.
Yeah, I witnessed spirit go off, but if you think about, and it's going to sound, I don't want to complicate it too much, but I don't think time comes into it. So, like, the instant they leave their body, they can come right back to that moment. They can visit, if we ever get that, and I'm a firm believer in this, you ever get that, and I don't want to trigger anyone, but, you get that shudder, and you go, oh, somebody walked over.
Yeah, all the time.
I always think that that's you coming back to look at that moment.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
That's because you're going to come back and you're going to go, oh, remember this moments that people have had in their lives that I would like to witness. So if they, if that opportunity arises, you go, yeah, you can go and have a look at this, you can go and have a look at that. They're the moments where we...
It's a nice way of putting it.
I love that.
I remember I had a reading off this... Sorry?
No, I just want to say I love that.
It was a really nice way of putting it. I had a reading from this lady, and she was so worried that when she came, she went, I just want to make sure before you read to me, if you're going to grab my so-and-so out of heaven, are they going to be able to get back in because you've pulled them out to talk to me? And I was like, wow, like, they can come and go as they please. Like, what? What some people think is this is why you kind of, it's good to spread this, because she really felt, she was worried that they won't be able to get back in if I pulled them out to speak to them.
Julia has asked in the chat, how can you be spiritual or and not believe in an afterlife? Being spiritual, in inverted commas, it's how you act, not what you believe. It's the type of person that you are. It's the fact that it's not truths that you believe, it's truths that you actually embody. So it's qualities that you embody is what I'm referring to, more than the belief in the
Yeah. Yes. What is brushing the teeth?
Kayla, I'm on a live. You have to put the mic out there. Thank you. My daughter just come out with the bike.
That's okay. Right, well, we're gonna bring this show to an end. Is there anything else that you want to bring up before we do?
I'd just like to say thanks to everyone in the chat, because the chat has been...
Oh, thank you everybody for supporting me.
Sam, you'll have to go and have a look. Everybody's comments, like Lainey and Ben. Lainey and Ben, I will, one time, when I get a chance, I will talk about the curse that I experienced. I will.
There are videos on the channel, Rich. There are videos on
there are.
Yeah, you've...
this video's covered it.
Yeah, you've covered it.
I thought there was. I've covered it. But the chat, you guys in the chat, and people who will come to see Sam, thank you so much.
I said to Lainey I was scared that nobody would come in through and chat, and I'd just be sat here talking to you, and there'd be no one to support me, and I'd look stupid, and you'd be like, "What have I got here?"
You've probably had one of the biggest audiences we've had this year.
Oh, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, you are. The chat, you haven't shut up yet. They talk a bloody glass eye.
It's brilliant. No,
that's Lainey. That's what Ben and Lainey don't do.
It's been every one of them comments. This is what we do this channel for. This is the reason we're doing it, because there's that energy.
I love it.
That energy you put out, that energy you get back, and we get back on our channel some of the most beautiful feedback. It just keeps us going. We're not a big channel. We just here to be honest and have that conversation. And it has been a delight to have you on, Sam.
Thank you so much for having me.
You are a credit to this field, and it's nice to see.
Thank you.
And we'll hope that you'll take the opportunity to come back on at some point soon.
When I start seeing dead people. I'll come back. Help!
Yeah.
No, I was more thinking. I was more thinking in human form. You know, maybe in a couple of months or so. You know, I'm not on about.
Oh,
I was more thinking for like another interview or things. You know, as we
absolutely.
progress.
Anytime. Do you know what I like? You said I like it because I'm learning from you. I don't have friends that I can speak to. I have friends that are close to me. I have friends that know what I do. Not everybody knows. I'm quite private. A lot of people, my Facebook's got nothing to do with this. Nobody knows I do this. So I've got a very close, net of friends.
Rich, what about a round table where we actually get people together and maybe have a group of people and come on and
Ben on as well.
Well,
party.
Well, yeah, just have a group discussion on spirituality and psychic ability.
I love learning stuff from you.
I'll be up for that.
Yeah. Anywhere else.
Well, anyone would like to know, be a part of that, drop us an email, paranormalnow@outlook.com. If it's some of you guys watching, want to share your stories or whatever, we'll maybe do a one-off group session or something and get a good few of you on, and we'll all have a chat together, and we'll just have a now debate. We'll all of us have a chat. Have a bit of a round table about psychic ability and our where you guys can ask your questions, and we'll try and answer them. It is.
Absolutely. I'm in.
Well, thank you ever so much, everyone, for coming on the show, and thank you so much for supporting us, and thank you, Sam. You have been absolutely wonderful, and I very much want to echo Richard's sentiments. You are very much a credit to this field, and
thank you.
Please do stay in touch.
Okay, I will.
It is. All the best, everyone. We will see you very soon. Love and light to you all.
Bye.
Love and light, para peeps, and see you in the next video.
Take care, guys.